Michael Reid Show, 086 1800 658. Marie will be along very shortly with your comments. Now, very recently, councillors across the North East region in Louth and Meath got an invite from Irish Water, which said, Irish Water wish to invite you to take a tour of the construction site of the Staleen Water Treatment Plant and Pipeline project. The visit will show progress of the works on the pipeline of the project. If you remember, last summer, the summer of 2017, will be always remembered as the summer of the water crisis in Drogheda. 19 million euros is being spent on the upgrade at Staleen, and that visit took place, I believe, last week. Joining me in studio is Councillor Joanna Byrne, who's a Sinn Féin councillor on Louth County Council, and on the phone is Councillor Nick Killian, independent councillor on Meath County Council, and a man who has campaigned for so many years on behalf of the residents in Rathout in regard to their water problems. If I can start with you, Councillor Byrne, the invite came out of the blue?
I suppose it did, Cathal, yes. We do get regular emails from Irish Water, different notifications of water shortages, etc. And yeah, I suppose it did come out of the blue, the invite. We took it up as a Sinn Féin team. 3 out of the 4 of us, one of my colleagues was on holidays, he couldn't make it, but 3 out of the 4 from the team in Drogheda turned up.
So this invite was sent to all TDs and all councillors in Louth and Meath, public representatives.
Yeah.
Not a great turnout.
There wasn't a great turnout. Initially there was only the 3 members of Sinn Féin, but we were joined by Councillor Nick Killian from Meath and Councillor Frank Godfrey, who is the Mayor of Drogheda.
Imelda Munster was the only TD?
Imelda Munster was the only TD, indeed. Yeah.
For Louth or Meath?
For Louth and
for the 2 constituencies. Yeah. A year ago, every politician in the area had something to say about the water.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
A year down the road?
I don't know. Look, I can't speak for anybody who wasn't there. For me personally and for the Sinn Féin team, we made the effort to be there, and it was a worthwhile visit, I suppose, to see the project. We got to see the pipe in different parts, the works that have already started, the water treatment plant, and what's to come, I suppose.
And the work is underway.
It is underway, yeah. We were out on site, different points of the site, and got to see the work in action.
Nick Killian, good morning to you.
Good morning, Carl, and good morning, Joanna.
Were you surprised, first of all, Nick, at the low turnout?
Absolutely. I was actually the only representative from County Meath there. I was the only county councillor. None of our TDs showed up, and there was every opportunity for them to be there. I'm sure some of them probably were on holidays and had good reason, but I was quite surprised that from, say, the Ashbourne Municipal District, the Rathout Municipal District, and indeed the Staleen East Meath District, that I was the only councillor there. But anyhow, that's history now.
And you did see evidence that the work that was promised last year is going ahead and is progressing.
Look, it's terrific. The work that's going on down there between Roughgrange and Staleen in replacing the pipe that burst last year is absolutely terrific. But what really scared me about the whole visit was, and I'm sure Joanna will agree with me, is the fact that the condition of the present equipment is absolutely, it's rocking on finishing. That's the way it is at this point in time. And to quote one of the officials who was there with me, he basically said Staleen the supply is on a knife edge at all times.
As we know from what happened. I could
not believe the state of the equipment. And the equipment was put in probably somewhere in the region of the 1930s, some of it again maybe in the 1940s and 50s. But it's absolutely collapsing. And I have to give great credit to the personnel in Staleen and Irish Water for keeping it going. It's like a bad engine in a car. They're actually having to go now. There's no parts. They're having to get parts made up just to keep it going.
Which was one of the problems last year, wasn't it, when the pipe burst?
And it's scary. And what has left me so disappointed about the meeting was is the concern in relation to supply, continued supply in an ever-increasing housing situation where houses are being built. But what really annoyed me at the meeting was, and it has annoyed me all along, we were given an indication by Minister Owen Murphy that a pipe was going to be laid between Staleen and Rathout and the existing pipe replaced. There is not a hope in hell of that happening by 2021 at the earliest. And that's coming from senior officials who were there on the day. So the spin that's been put on it by Minister Murphy, in his lovely photograph that was taken there last summer, is a myth. So the people of Ratoath are still not guaranteed a supply, nor are the people of Ashbourne or the people of East Meath.
And this is the people of Ratoath whose main street has been dug up all summer to facilitate water improvement, is it not?
Yes, and to be fair, that's replacing bad piping, existing piping that was falling apart in the village. And I'm delighted, I'm not complaining, I'm delighted that work is done, and it's already made an improvement to the poor supply and poor pressure supply.
I'm going to come back to Joanna for a second, Joanna, because you stumbled upon, if that's not unfair to say to you, a problem in regard to Drogheda.
Yeah, I suppose it was upon querying, I'd be a bit of a maths geek, and it was upon querying the numbers, the capacity of water that they export on a daily basis, and they gave us the figures that they export 1,250 square cubes an hour, which is 30,000 square cubes of water a day. And just following on from that, we kind of said, you know, and what's the increased capacity going to be upon completion? And they all shook their heads and looked and said, well, it won't be much more than that. And then we went on.
So this is going to replace like with like, effectively?
Absolutely. You know, don't get me wrong, and let me categorically state that the work that's happening, it's an improvement, it's badly needed, it's warmly welcomed, it can't happen quick enough. But with 5,000 houses already planned for construction in the northern environs of Drogheda alone, leading to a population increase probably of 12 to 15,000 people, it's obvious that the water demand is going to dramatically increase in years to come without further residential expansion or any commercial expansion that may follow as well. So while it is needed and welcomed, it's not going to be fit for purpose to serve the population increase. Now, I was at a city status meeting last night and listened to Dr. Brian Hughes state that Drogheda is growing at 3 times the national growth figures, third only to Dublin and Cork. Now, put that into perspective. Dublin and Cork are our 2 main cities, and Drogheda is growing at a rate next to that. And we haven't got the water infrastructure to support that.
And for you, Nick Killian, in Ratoath and Ashbourne, in that part of the country, presumably if the demand on Staleen from the Drogheda area increases, the demand is also going to increase. We're seeing building all over your part of the world at the moment. That's going to lead to more problems in your part.
Well, there's currently, if you take the Ratoath alone, there's 700 houses due to be built over the next 5 years. You take Ashbourne, somewhere in the region of 1,500 as far as I know. In Dunshaughlin, where they have a water supply, there's 1,700 houses.
And more on the way.
And more on the way. So, if you take what Joanna is saying in relation to Drogheda, and that's leaving out Donore, Duleek and other parts of East Meath where development, and also we've got to remember one-off rural housing, they're entitled to their supply as well. So capacity is simply scary going forward.
We do, Nick, I'll come back in a second. We do have a statement from Irish Water, and just as part of this says that Irish Water is working with the local authorities responsible for the area supplied by Staleen, and they have developed investment plans to ensure that the water supply has the ability to meet the future needs of those areas in terms of growth in line with the national planning framework. Did you get a sense of that at all last week, Nick?
Absolutely not. And I was talking when you talk to staff on the ground and listen to what they have to say, you have officialdom on high, you have the spin machine coming out of Abbey Street where they're based, who put out all these lovely messages. Talking to the guys working there, they're telling us the truth. It's working, it's a machine that's ready to break down any minute, even as it stands. So the sooner that what the equipment is there is replaced, and at least keep the status quo going. But going forward, I'd have serious concerns for the town of Drogheda and for the whole area of South East Meath.
Joanne, just to finish with you, it says the statement, there are no capacity constraints with the water supply, and the team are currently issuing positive responses to all connection inquiries and applications to the Staleen plant. Clearly, from what both you and Councillor Killian saw last week, this is an improvement. The water quality will be better, the supply will be more reliable. But your concern, and Councillor Killian has echoed this for his region, your concern is that when the population explodes, as it will do in the coming years.
There's no capacity restraints at the moment, but going forward, they're relying on the Shannon to Dublin pipeline project to take place, and their intention is to pump water from North Dublin, and they told us that themselves. But there's not even a planning application lodged for that with An Bord Pleanála at the moment. So it's a worrying revelation for me.
What can you do next?
Well, next, I suppose we have to start making the awareness of this out there. It has to be out there that this is going to be a problem going forward. We need to work with the local authority they've an obligation to ensure that there's water infrastructure in place to support any planning applications they're approving. This needs to be pushed at national level with central government, and I'm sure Imelda Munster, our local TD, will be taking that on board. And I'd be urging any colleagues of ours on the council, and indeed those in the Dáil, to be pushing for this as well, because Drogheda cannot grow to its full potential without future investment.
And to you, Councillor Nick Killian, your final thoughts on this?
My final thoughts, we have 3 government ministers in County Meath, and they've got to get up off their backsides and start finding funding to develop the necessary infrastructure for all the houses that are going to be built for the people who want to live there. We've factories, we've shires coming in with 440 people, and the management there are asking us now, where are the houses? So with houses, you need water. As Joanna has rightly said, we don't want to be scary. Anybody what we have at present will supply the needs of the area.
And will be improved.
And needs to be improved faster than it is at the moment.
Well, Councillor Nick Killian, Independent Councillor on Meath County Council, and Councillor Joanna Byrne, Sinn Féin Councillor on Louth County Council, we thank you for once again talking about water. We're going to be back after this.
Call.